All right, welcome to the deep dive, everybody. Today we're going to be unpacking NuScale Power.
NuScale Power.
That's a ticker symbol SMR.
SMR.
For you all out there, they're a nuclear power startup that's been, generating a lot of buzz, I guess, in the investment world. And we're going to be looking at a really interesting article that we found from The Motley Fool.
The Motley Fool, yeah.
And they basically lay out some pretty solid reasons why they think this company is worth taking a close look at right now.
Right now.
So.
It's important to remember that this isn't really going to be like a deep dive into the technical weeds of reactor physics and all that stuff.
No.
But it's really going to be more of a focused look at the investment case as it's presented by the Motley Fool,
Right.
So for you, the big question that we want to answer is, what are the reasons why someone might want to add NuScale Power to their, portfolio, specifically at this moment in time? So that's kind of our guiding star here. We're gonna really dissect those arguments, and we want to understand what makes NuScale's approach different. And we're gonna highlight the potential opportunities, but also importantly, some of the risks that are outlined in the article. For the benefit of you, the listener.
Okay, so I guess the first big reason that the article gives for being interested in NuScale is that they're supposedly in a sweet spot, I think is the word they use for nuclear power.
Sweet spot, yeah.
Now, in the real world, what does that even mean?
Well, the article kind of jumps right in and talks about, the challenges that a lot of people know about when it comes to building the big traditional large-scale nuclear power plants.
Yeah.
So they bring up these big projects, like Vogtle 3 and 4 down in Georgia. As you may recall, those projects often run into massive complexity. They end up having huge delays, and the costs just get out of control.
Out of control.
And the Motley Fool piece actually mentioned that Vogtle 3 and 4 ended up being almost a decade behind schedule.
Wow. And
the cost was basically double what they originally projected. So that's a major issue, to think about when you're considering investing in traditional nuclear projects.
Yeah, those are some pretty scary numbers for sure.
Yeah.
So how is NuScale trying to avoid those kinds of problems?
Well, this is where their unique business model comes into play.
Business model, yeah.
So instead of these really big one-off projects that are built entirely on site, NuScale is focusing on small modular reactors, or SMR.
SMRs, right.
And these are designed to be built in a factory setting, which is more similar to how cars or other manufactured goods are produced,
Factory-built nuclear reactors. I mean, that almost sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie or something.
Yeah.
But the article seems to be suggesting that there are some pretty real benefits to this approach, right?
Absolutely. When you're building in a factory environment, it allows for, much greater control over the whole manufacturing process.
Right.
And you're able to use, standardized techniques. You can reuse equipment across multiple modules, and you can have a much more predictable and streamlined supply chain.
Right.
So, this could potentially create some really big efficiencies and, lead to faster and more cost-effective construction compared to the traditional, site-specific approach. However, as you think about this, I mean, one question that comes to mind is, are there potential logistical hurdles in, actually transporting these modules and then assembling them on site?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that the article might be overlooking?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of like, I guess the difference between commissioning like a completely bespoke suit versus buying one off the rack that's been tailored.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the article also touched on the flexibility that these modular designs offer.
Yeah, the flexibility. Yeah, that's a key advantage for a whole range of potential applications. I think it's something you might find interesting. So, NuScale's design is it's very scalable. So you could take several of the modules and link them together to to create a larger power plant that can feed electricity into, a regional grid or something like that.
Right.
Or you could take just a single smaller module and use that to, meet a more localized power need.
Right.
Like for example, directly supplying a large data center,
Right.
That kind of adaptability, is quite compelling when you consider all the different, the diverse energy needs out there, right?
Yeah. And what about safety? I mean, the article mentions enhanced safety protocols, I think, because of the the smaller scale of these things, and also they talk about incorporating lessons learned from previous projects.
Projects, yeah.
Can you maybe elaborate on what that means a little bit?
Sure. So, even though the fundamental nuclear technology isn't really radically different. The smaller size, inherently offers some safety benefits.
Okay.
There's just there's less heat generated in a smaller reactor.
Okay.
And they can the systems can be designed with what they call more passive safety features, which I think is pretty neat.
Passive safety.
These are safety systems that rely on natural forces, like gravity and convection. Rather than active systems that require power to run.
Right.
So that makes them inherently more reliable in certain scenarios. And then plus, as the article points out, the designs incorporate all this knowledge that's been gained from decades of operating nuclear power plants. So the goal here is to really build on that extensive history to create safer, more manageable units. So for you, I think the main takeaway here is that NuScale's this modular approach, it directly addresses some of the big historical challenges and safety concerns that people have always had with large nuclear projects.
Okay, so that's the first big reason to consider NuScale, right? It's this potentially more efficient and flexible and safer way of building nuclear power.
Yeah.
Now, the second point that the article brings up is that NuScale is not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Reinvent the wheel.
They're leveraging existing technology. So why should that matter?
Well, this is, a really crucial point, when it comes to deliverability.
Deliverability.
So unlike some other companies in the small modular reactor space who are, exploring these, entirely new kinds of nuclear fuel or technologies that haven't really been proven out yet. Right. NuScale is they're basing their designs on technology that's currently available and well understood.
And the article specifically highlights the importance of a reliable supply chain in this context.
Right. So because they're using established technology, NuScale can just tap right into the existing supply chains. To get the necessary fuel and components. Right. And this really reduces the risk and uncertainty, associated with their path to actually getting their reactors, deployed and up and running. Right. And this is quite different compared to companies that that would need to basically create entirely new supply chains from scratch. Right. For their new and innovative but unproven technologies. So, I mean, for you, it's kind of like the difference between ordering parts that are already being manufactured, right, versus trying to invent and then manufacture completely new ones. Yeah,
it's kind of like the difference between getting something off the shelf versus waiting for a totally new invention to be perfected and mass produced.
Exactly. And the article highlights that NuScale is they're aiming to have their first operational reactor by the end of this decade. Okay. And while that might still seem like a while away, it could actually be it could be years ahead of companies that are going after these more radical technological leaps. Yeah. So those companies, they may eventually have groundbreaking technology, but their timelines for commercialization are much more uncertain. It's really fascinating to think that while other companies are still in the lab, NuScale could potentially be powering homes and businesses with with this technology by the end of the decade.
Yeah, yeah, and the article even calls NuScale's innovation iterative, you know, which
Iterative, yeah.
which kind of suggests that they're improving on existing nuclear power rather than completely starting from scratch.
Right. And I think that's that's a really good way to put it. They're taking a technology that's that's known and understood, and they're making it more adaptable and potentially safer through through modularity and smaller scale.
Right.
And then the Motley Fool piece also brings up this really important psychological aspect to think about.
Yeah.
They talk about the massive headline risk that's associated with meltdowns in large nuclear plants.
Right.
And they make the point that if these small scale reactors can consistently demonstrate that they have enhanced safety, it could really shift public perception and the overall dynamics of the nuclear power industry, which would benefit NuScale as a first mover.
Right.
So for you, the key takeaway here is that NuScale is really prioritizing getting a working product to market using established and reliable resources.
Right.
And that could potentially translate into a faster return on investment if they're successful.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, reliability and and a clear path to actually getting these reactors built and operating. I mean, those things seem incredibly valuable in this industry.
Yeah, I agree.
The third reason the article presents for why NuScale might be a compelling investment is that they're approaching a critical milestone, is how they put it.
Approaching a critical milestone.
Yeah. So what is that milestone?
Well, the big one here is, it's regulatory approval.
Regulatory approval.
And the article really emphasizes that that NuScale has already achieved a significant advantage.
Right.
They're the first and only, I think, is the quote small modular reactor technology to receive NRC design approval and certification in the United States. And they point out that that this NRC approval process, this is a years-long endeavor.
Years long, wow.
So so that really underscores the head start that NuScale has over its competitors who haven't gotten to that crucial stage yet.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty major hurdle to clear. Yeah. So what's the next big step that they're facing that we should be aware of?
So the article points to the expected final approval for a nuclear power plant in Romania.
Romania, right.
And this approval is, it's anticipated in, the fourth quarter of 2025.
2025.
And this is a huge development because if this project gets the green light, it would be NuScale's first commercial customer.
First commercial customer.
And they're planning to use 6 of NuScale's small modular reactors to create a larger power plant there in Romania.
So this is this isn't just theoretical designs on paper anymore.
Yes,
right?
sir. No.
This is the potential for for actual commercial deployment, real world stuff.
Exactly.
So what's the I guess what's the implication of this Romanian approval? I mean, what does it mean?
Well, if they get that final approval, the article suggests that NuScale could basically begin commercial operations by the end of 2025.
Wow.
And that would be massive validation of their technology and their whole business model.
Right.
I mean, it would move them from being a company with a promising design to a company that's actually got operating reactors and is generating revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like they're not just sitting around waiting for this Romanian approval to happen. The article mentions that they're already actively manufacturing key components.
That's right. They're clearly getting ready, positioning themselves to act quickly and move into that construction phase.
Right.
If the Romanian project is approved.
Right.
And this kind of proactive approach it suggests a high degree of confidence, and preparedness to really transition into that commercial phase of their business. So I think the key takeaway here is that NuScale is on the verge of a really significant inflection point.
Yeah.
They're potentially moving from the development stage to actually generating revenue, and they could be doing that very soon.
Right.
And that's obviously a really critical factor for any investor to think about.
Yeah. This is all sounding pretty compelling so far, at least from the from the perspective of this Motley Fool article.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take.
However, the article does include this section where they acknowledge that that NuScale is not for every investor. So why the caution there?
Well, as they clearly state, NuScale is still a relatively small startup, and they're currently in a phase where they're losing money.
Yeah.
They're investing a lot in development and preparing for commercialization.
Right.
And investing in companies like that inherently carries a higher degree of risk compared to investing in these big established profitable businesses.
Yeah.
So the article specifically suggests that NuScale might be a more suitable investment for what they call more aggressive investors.
Aggressive investor.
People who are comfortable with that level of risk.
So while the potential rewards might be significant, so are the potential downsides at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the article does summarize kind of the aligned factors that make NuScale an attractive proposition.
Yeah.
They talk about the technology's potential to address the growing demand for clean power. They talk about their strategic decision to rely on known and understood technology,
right?
And their current lead over competitors in terms of regulatory approval, and they really emphasize the potential advantage of being a what they call a first mover in this evolving space.
First mover, yeah.
But it's absolutely crucial, for you as a potential investor to really carefully weigh those opportunities against the inherent financial risks,
right,
associated with a pre-profitability startup in a complex and heavily regulated industry.
Okay, so just to quickly recap here, the Motley Fool article lays out three main reasons why you might want to consider NuScale Power. First is their modular approach could put them in a good position to overcome the traditional challenges of building nuclear power plants.
Right.
Second, they're strategically leveraging existing technology,
existing tech,
which could lead to a more reliable and faster path to getting the reactors deployed.
Front point, yes.
And then third, they're approaching this major milestone
right,
with the potential approval of their first commercial project over there in Romania.
Romania, yeah, that's a good summary.
Okay, so pretty fascinating stuff. As we kind of wrap up here, I want to leave you with this final thought.
Final thought, okay.
As you're thinking about everything that we've been discussing today,
yeah,
what do you think the broader implications would be if small modular nuclear reactors, like the kind that NuScale is building, if they were to become a significant and widespread part of the global energy landscape?
Global energy.
Think about the potential impacts on energy independence.
Yeah.
The overall environmental footprint of power generation.
Right.
And even the future design and resilience of our power infrastructure. I mean, it's definitely something to really chew on.
Definitely.
So thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.